Hey up everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about being yourself and trying to be yourself in many different ways, and how maybe possibly trying to be yourself is not the way to go. And I'll sort of explain what I mean. So first off, a little bit of backstory about myself. I'm not a particularly big people person. I'm not someone that is able to go up to someone and be really energetic and confident and all that kind of thing. And that's kind of where this idea of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence came from, because I play Johnny Mozer and the whole film is about essentially me gaining confidence as a person. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with these videos as well, is kind of explain my worldview and the way that I talk about things and the way that I think about things, and try and figure out a way of exploring quite complicated ideas in a very naturalistic and quite human feeling way, in a way that can hopefully resonate with you guys. So if I presume some of you are introverted, a lot of you might not really enjoy talking to other people, even though you're in the conversation, you're like, I should be enjoying this. And the person's talking to you and you're going, yeah, and the words are kind of going in. They're trying to resonate. You're trying to listen, but then, you know, you might get distracted by a singular noise, or like maybe some construction happens and you're like, oh, why is the construction happening? And in the time that you thought, oh, why is there some construction happening? They've kind of expanded on their point as they've been talking to you through that bit of construction. And you've not focused on that extra bit of context that they've been discussing. And it's just, that bit's gone blank, and now you're kind of behind and you're failing to really keep up and understand what they're talking about. But it feels kind of rude to stop them and go, oh, I stopped paying attention to what you were saying because there was some construction noises going on over there, so I just stopped bothering to listen to you so I could think about that for a bit. Sorry, can you start your monologue again, as if you've got everything you just said off the top of your head down and recited? Can you do that for me, please? And you can't really do that. You can kind of go like, oh, sorry, what was that? Sorry, I didn't catch that. You can do a bit of that. But if you do that too much, it does start to become grating. And especially when you're like, because each time they will say it a bit clearer, and then it gets to the point where they are trying to communicate the issue, all right? And they start doing that. So you'll be in all these sort of situations with people, and you kind of get back. You leave the conversation, you leave the event that you went out for to meet this person at, and you're on your way home, and you've got your headphones in, and you're maybe leaning out the bus window, and you kind of you're listening to your music, which is music that maybe you don't hear very often, being played out in the wild. So you feel kind of alone in the sense that like you're listening to music that you don't hear anyone else listening to. And then you get back and you brush your teeth and you have your dinner, and then you brush your teeth and you watch like some episodes of an old TV show that it feels like only you like, and then you go to bed and you scroll through like your stuff on your phone that is all marketed towards you because of the algorithms and all that sort of thing, and you end up falling asleep and you see all the worst side of yourself. You see the parts of you that you don't go and show off to others, and as a result, it makes you sort of feel like you're somehow less than those other people, and so you're constantly trying to catch up and play like this real person. And you are a real person. You're just as real as everyone else, and everyone else is just as real as you. And we all have this thing of when we go to a meeting or meet some friend or whatever, and then we put on a bit of the confidence, and then we head off, and it kind of goes. And I am a bit of an introvert, so I kind of have a bit of like I'm on my own sort of thing. Let me just sort of take stock of like, how did I think about what went down at the event? Even if it's just we went for a coffee, I might be thinking like, we had a fun conversation about this topic, and but he said that sort of thing that. Yeah, I didn't really know what to make of that. It's not, I don't know, it's not the sort of thing you'd normally say. So, a bit weird. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's not like you're full on like, because you know how you can, if you're particularly anxious, a person like kind of I am, you might sort of be thinking, oh, these people are talking smack about me and that kind of thing. Or they might be thinking that I'm a terrible person. They're not. They might just sort of think, oh, that's not the sort of thing he normally does, or that kind of thing. And the idea of being your true self is very difficult, because the phrase is, you got to try to be yourself. And you shouldn't try. That's the key part here. That's the bit I take big issue with. You shouldn't try. It shouldn't be an effort to be yourself, because you are yourself. When you're on your own, that is the you. That is the real you. You're not putting on a persona for your own brain. You're just walking around being the you that you are. You're listening to the things that you like. You're not putting on music that you're not super into, but you think your brain will be into. You're putting on whatever you want for yourself, and you're accustomed to the things that you like and the things that you want and your dreams and aspirations and so on, and you're targeting yourself in that way. Whereas when you're with other people, you're kind of trying to maybe fit yourself around their personality. Like, to use music as an example, say you're someone that loves punk, right? And you go and hang out with a guy that's super into EDM. You might kind of downplay how much you love punk, because it might feel like a bit embarrassing that you're so into this punk thing, and then you're kind of downplaying, and then you kind of wonder, why am I downplaying this? They're not downplaying the fact that they love EDM. They've got Dead 5 and all that, like, on posters in their room, and they, maybe they wear the Daft Punk hat. That's probably a bit far, but they're not downplaying their themselves and their personality. And so why are you? Why should you do that? And the answer is you shouldn't. You don't need to downplay yourself. And every time that I've started just being myself and not giving a fuck what other people think, because I read a couple bits from that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and yes, I suppose it's got some good ideas in it. But I think that it's very easy to, if you go down that mindset, to suddenly become an arrogant dickhead, essentially, because I think you can be yourself while still caring about what others think, but not allowing that to paralyze you and dictate your personality. Don't let others dictate who you are, but certainly take constructive criticism on board. If you're at a party and you tell a joke that makes everyone go like that, right? You're not going to tell that same joke again, So that's the, if there was the subtle art of not giving a fuck, and if you abided by that completely, you would just keep telling the joke, because the joke is you. You're like, you came up with that joke, you're proud of that joke, you find the joke funny, why aren't they finding it funny? It's not that you don't slightly morph yourself to the person that you're hanging out with. It's not like you're exactly the same with your mum than you are with your boss, than you are with your girlfriend, and the way you are with your homies. I don't know why I said it like that. But you are different around different people, and all of those facets of you are you. They are all parts of who you are. And it's very important to remember that, and it's very important to allow that to stick with you, and to be confident in the fact that you are you. And you don't have to become arrogant to own that fact and to be proud of it. Be proud of you and your personality and your accomplishments and your life story that led you up to here. Even if you might downplay it to yourself and think like, I didn't have much of a story, I've done very little, or like that kind of thing. Well, there's no reason you can't start now. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And, even if you haven't gotten, even if you haven't written a bloody Oscar-winning film by the age of 23, even if you haven't like found a new element or been to the moon or whatever, it's not, or even something small like getting a nice job in an office and being a stable, caring father or mother, that kind of thing. That even if you haven't done anything close to anything like that, you can still be proud of who you are. Why can't you be proud of who you are? Like, unless you're, I don't know, some bad things that I'm not going to discuss because of monetization. Even though I'm not monetized at the moment, but like I don't really want to even discuss those sort of things, because they're not really part of my point. I'm not making this video about them. I'm making this video about normal sort of people that are like your everyday kind of good-natured civilian, to say it in a very weird way, but that's part of me. That is who I am, and the way that I said that is the way that I felt it, and the way that I thought it, and that's the way that my brain works. And you know, if you like that, then you clearly stick around. And I've noticed that from all the channels that I've made, I've done a lot of channels over the years where I've played characters and I've tried to do production companies and stuff like that. And I've noticed that whenever I try and do all these sort of things, I never really get anywhere. But the second I just started being myself, that's what this channel is. It's just being myself. I think it's the earnestness that people appreciate. They like the fact that they can see who you are, rather than, you know, have to guess at who you are behind this curtain of an act that you put on for an audience that you don't even have. And it's good to be yourself in as many ways as you possibly can, because I know it's difficult. I know it is difficult to actually be yourself, because you might see someone that's a lot more confident than you, and you might feel like that's just how they are all the time. But you don't see the parts of them where they're upset. You don't see the parts of them that feel lost in the world. You know, everyone's got their own hardships, and everyone's got their own issues, and you know, they all vary in terms of severity. You know, I see some stories on the internet where I'm like, oh God, that's a upsetting life. I'm very sorry to hear that, you know, kind of thing. And you know, we're all human beings, and I think we should all try and love each other a little bit more. Not in a very, not to sound like a bloody hippie, but you know, just to embrace who you are and allow that to be the real you, not the you that you put on for other people's approval and to fit with societal norms and that kind of thing. So, you know, by the way, that was just an endorsement of the LGBTQ blah blah blah. So yeah, so you know, be yourself. And even if you're not part of all that, be yourself. Be you. Do what you want to do, as long as it's legal and you know, pleasant. And try and do right by others, because I feel like most people have that slight good element to them at heart in varying degrees. Some people are extremely giving people, and some people are quite selfish. And I don't know, when it comes to being yourself, I don't know how to quite gauge that. I don't know, should a selfish person be the selfish self that they want to be? I don't know, I don't think so. So it kind of goes contrary to my point in that way. But I think the general point of being confident is what I'm getting at. Be confident in yourself, and take the parts of yourself that you know to be the most true to you, because you will know that. You'll know that your love of this thing is closer to your heart than your love of this other thing that you're kind of ambivalent about. You know, you'll know those kind of things. And for instance, sometimes I get afraid to make certain references to things, because I feel like people will laugh at my taste in music or film or books or whatever. And lately I've just stopped doing that, and I don't care. And it's quite relieving, because you realise no one else cares either. You know, it's not like I've been in a conversation and someone's, you know, is using the Marvel films, for instance, to as an example for their point quite often, and they talk about that, and it's like, you know, it's a nice little insight into that world, you know, and you know, it's great that you're into that kind of thing, and I want more people to be open about their true passions, because I realise that if you try and hide your true passions, then what is your personality? And you know, from the point of view of others, what's your personality? If you're hiding all the bits that are you, what do other people have to see in you? I don't have the answer to that, other than you should try and avoid that at all costs, and just, as I said, be yourself. Practice it. Practice being yourself somehow. I don't know how. Just go out there and just do stuff. Go and be you and enjoy it, and go through life enjoying it as much as you possibly can. In a semi-hedonistic way, I suppose. Let's call it half and half. Stoicism on this half and hedonism on this half. You need a bit of both to be the ultimate happy version of you. And if you disagree with that, that is you being yourself. And I want you to put it in the comments below, and we can get some debate around the nature of man going on. I love those kind of conversations. That's something I'm really into. I love philosophizing on the stuff. I love this channel, Alex O'Connor. I've been watching quite a lot of his videos lately. He does this podcast. I don't really do the podcast, but I do his videos. I watch his videos, and like clips from the podcast and stuff like that. And it's so much fun. I really enjoy it. So yeah, let's all be ourselves and not worry so much about what others think of us, and use the experiences that we've had that led us up to this moment to teach us where we want to go in the future and what we want to do with our lives and how we want to be as beings going into our glorious future. So yeah, I think that's going to be everything from me. Thank you so much for watching this. I know it was a little bit all over the place, but it's a very complicated topic. I'm probably going to do another video about this at some point because it's such a hard topic to nail down. It's the sort of thing that you need a thesis written about, really. But I thought it's fun to watch people try and figure out the point, because it kind of makes you realize, like, you see them go down a dead end and you know that you've probably gone down a similar dead end, and it helps you figure out your own thought process. So that's why I kind of do these videos, and I don't do jump cuts, and I don't edit anything out, and why I don't script things or take notes and rely on notes and stuff like that. The only thing, I wrote one note for this, and it's just the title of the video, which is, I know it's hard, but just be yourself. So get out there and be yourself. Thank you so much for watching this. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm gonna try and do some of these to close me out. Ugh. This feels awful. This feels so bad. Like, you can hear the clank. There is a little bit of muscular tension that's happening. Like, the muscles are activated around here, but then it gets up here, and it feels like it should go further than this, and I should go a bit more like that, but then it just stops, like halfway through the movement. So, a bit weird, isn't it? Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to give you a 50-step guide on how to stop overthinking. So, as I was coming up with this idea for a video, I was really trying to figure out, is it a 50-step guide on how to not overthink? 50-step guide on how to stop overthinking? None of these things quite sounded right. All of them sounded a little bit wrong, right? But that is step one of this, on how to not overthink. You see all the wrong options, you just pick one, because one of them will turn out right anyway, because it doesn't really matter. And that is the step one. It doesn't really matter. And that is the one that's going to be the most important going forwards. So step two, now that nothing really matters, what can you do with this new freedom to go around and not worry so much about the world around you? Well, first, you're going to try and figure out your internal self, your inner personality, your inner soul. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? Why are you here? Now that might sound like you're overthinking, but don't think too much about it. Don't get super into the nitty-gritty, because this is something that is nebulous. This is your own inner neurons all clicking and clinking and making connections with one another. It's not something that is a concrete science that you can figure out, I am this personality type, I am this, I do this, I like this because X, right? Don't get super bogged down on the details, but do get an idea on who you are, because you're going to need that going forwards for step three. Step three is to just continue as you go along. Don't worry so much about it as step one, and figure out who you are as step two. Now three is to put some of these things into practice. Just go forwards through life, making it up as you go along. Try stuff. See if it works, see if it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. You can try again. And that's step four. Don't let failure get you down, because failure is just another form of success that didn't work, okay? Failure is when you've learned a lesson from a past experience and you've learned not to do that again. You've put your hand on the hot stove. Now that's a failure. Your hand hurt as a result. That pain is something that your brain will remember, and going forward, you're not going to put your hand on the hot stove again. This applies to every experience in life, every negative experience in life. You ever go to meet like that one weird friend that you don't normally hang out with at his house, but you've never really done that before, and you get there and you kind of have this weird feeling, and you're kind of like not really enjoying yourself, and you're just sort of like this, wanting to get home and trying to figure out how you're going to word that. Well, now you know that you're not going to go to that friend's house again. You know that you're not going to put yourself in that position going forwards. And that leads into step 5. Don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And if you do, learn from the previous mistake and don't put yourself in those situations again. Because it's these bad situations that cause so much of the overthinking, because a lot of it is anxiety. It's, am I putting people off? Am I doing something wrong? Why aren't things working out for me? These are all questions that you can keep asking yourself and answering and asking yourself and answering and asking yourself and answering again and again and again and again and again. And you just keep going through the same motions. Like when I got divorced, right, I figured every single thing out in my head multiple times. I answered every single question. I figured out every probability on why, things played out the way that they did. I figured out all of these things. And did I gain anything particularly insightful from it? Not really. I learned from my experience, and I'm not going to put myself in that same experience going forwards. So I did that, but I overthought everything, and I put too much emphasis on the nitty-gritty details. So that's step 6. Fuck the details. No one cares about the itty-bitty details of things. People see the big picture. They're not getting up like that with a little microscope, trying to figure out, is this thing right or is this thing wrong? Oh, if you zoom in on any photographer that you might be like looking at that think, oh, bloody hell, they're such a good photographer. Why are my pictures so shit? You look at their photos, right, and you hone in, you start to see all the same flaws in their works that you might see in yours. They've learnt from their past experiences and they're making new sort of mistakes, and then they're going to learn from those mistakes and fix them in the future. So that's actually going to be step 7. Don't compare yourself to others, because if you do that, that powers the overthinking part of your brain in order to make it just easier to continue to overthink, because then you can just sort of go, oh, but when I went to meet Billy, he said something that could be that could be construed as like kind of a negative comment towards me. He said like, oh yeah, you sure love your Doritos. Is he calling me fat? Why does he think I love Doritos so much? Does my breath smell of like tangy cheese? And then you can get really in your own head. And that's going to be step 8. Don't get in your own head. Your own head can be your own worst enemy if you allow it to. And if you allow yourself to put your own self down, so there is a duality here within you. There is the you that does the action, and there is a you that does the thought. So it's essentially like a yin and a yang of yourself. There's the you that puts action forwards, and there's the you that considers those actions. And those two things need to slam together, and that is the creation of thought and experience going forward in your life, and memory. Because your two sides of the brain are connected, and these aren't the actual two sides of the brain in science. This isn't real science. This is bollocks. So step 8 is if you are wrong, whatever, okay? Because if you are wrong, that is just another way of finding the right answer. Because now you know it's not this. Okay, brilliant, you go forward. If you're playing Where's Wally, or Where's Waldo if you're in America, right? And you first thing you sort of do is you look for the few that kind of have like red stripes, and you kind of go, oh, that one looks like Wally or Waldo. Oh no, that's not him. And then you go over here, it's like, oh, that one kind of looks like, oh no, that's not him. Oh, that's not him either. So now straight away, 3 things that you've gotten wrong, but now that's 3 more chances that you're not going to make that same mistake again, because now you're kind of cottoning on to what Wally actually looks like, and the tricks of the game is that the book is kind of playing on you to make you focus your eyes on certain things that are Wally or Waldo-esque, right? So you learn from being wrong much more than you learn from being right. If you learn how to be right, if you learn from being right, you're only learning one thing. If you're learning from being wrong, you're learning the other 99 things. Okay? If it was percentage-wise, you're learning 1% from being right, you're learning 99% from being wrong. Step 9 is just make it up as you go along. Just make it up. Don't worry so much about the future and everything like that. Live in the present and use your past as a learning experience, as your education, and use your future as an aspiration to get towards. But outside of those two things, don't get into the nitty-gritty of it. Don't worry so much. Don't worry about the specifics of your past. Don't get hung up on particular interactions that you feel anxious about, that cause you anxiety when you're like lying in bed at 3 in the morning and they're keeping you up at night. The other person has completely forgotten about it. They don't care, right? There's tons of times where I notice something that would stick with other people in the same way that it sticks with me. So I see someone else do something that's mildly embarrassing, right? And in my head, I kind of think, they're probably going to sit up late at night worrying about that. But if I point that out to them, that's not going to make them feel better. That's going to make them feel worse. So I won't say anything. So you see it in other people, right? And when you see it in other people, it really helps to get it within yourself. So this is step 11. Learn from observing, not from studying. Observing the world is so much more useful because from an evolutionary point of view, we are a species that is designed to take in our surroundings and learn from them. Someone who grew up in the countryside is going to have a different fundamental learning process than someone who grew up in the city, because they have such different surroundings and they learn in such different ways. Someone who grew up on a farm in Kentucky is going to grow up very different to someone who grew up like in Harlem, right? I don't know why I'm using America as for this example, but that's step 11, is go along with the flow of things, because and have confidence in yourself to take yourself down the right direction. Because even if you take yourself down the wrong direction, going back to whatever step it was before, you are still making something of progress within your life. You're still making progress going forwards. And if you make your own flow and you go along with it and you see where that takes you, you are going to find yourself in new situations and new circumstances that will become new learning experiences going forwards. And that kind of takes me into step 13, I think it is. Don't worry about the numbers. Step 14 is, I don't know how your head works, right? But there are two forms of thought. There are the people that think in sentences, and there are the people that just sort of think without like saying words in their head. So for me, it's hard to understand that because I am very much I'm thinking sort of one sentence ahead. So whatever I'm saying now is something I've kind of just thought of. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to kind of rattle on this joke and make it a bit of a joke that I'm sort of saying the same thing and I'm thinking what I'm saying. Other people don't do that, and they think in a more nebulous, almost cloud of non-metaphor, where they don't see or feel it, but they think the words and then they just say them, but they don't think the exact words. They just know what the sentence is going to be. The way I see it is my subconscious thinks the thought, and then my conscious reads from the subconscious, locks it in. Is that your final answer? Do you want to say that? Yes. Okay, brilliant. So I see the conscious as being like a stamp approval like thing for the subconscious. So the subconscious puts forward an idea, the conscious approves it, and it goes out to the world. That's kind of how I see it. I also, when I have gotten into my own head in the past, like really gotten overthinking about stuff, I've started to see it almost like a courtroom of different voices, which are all making different points. Because if you're unsure on how to go forwards, and every path forward seems like it has its own pros and cons, and you've got a big dilemma ahead of you, then using the courtroom, for me at least, is a way of sort of dealing with it. But at the same time, it is overthinking stuff, because you're getting so in your own head about different things that you have literally created a scene. And I bet I'm not alone in creating these vivid representations of our inner thought process in order to better understand it. You know, like I only really fall into the courtroom thing when I've got so much to think about with one really specific dilemma. Do I take this job? Do I not take this job and take this other job? Do I do this? Do I go on this holiday? Stuff like that, you know, where you've got big decision and, you know, it's got repercussions to it. Do you do it? Do you not do it? Do you do it in a different way? Or do you call someone else up to help you do it, or whatever, you know? And all of these get represented by different members of the court, all kind of talking and making their case. And then the judge is kind of there as well as part of it. And sometimes he even starts bloody getting into it. And they all have slightly different voices as well, which are all reflective of different parts of the personality. So I think step 15 is embrace your own thought process, but don't let it dictate you, because the way that you think is unique to you. You might not have the courtroom thing like I do. You might have a different mode of thinking. You might think in some other way that I can't really perceive. And embrace that, because it's a part of you. And if you embrace it, then you will allow yourself to feel more confident, because you are comfortable with the way that you think and feel. And if you can go forwards being comfortable with that, then you are going to be more likely to make the right decisions, because you are confident in those decisions. So, yeah, embrace it, but don't let it be your overlord, okay? So sometimes you can sort of feel dictated by your own brain, particularly if like you're getting stuck in a routine and it's like, I do this and I got to do this and I got to do this and I got to do that, right? And it feels like you're just like living life paint by numbers. And it can be hard to sort of get through that, and it can feel difficult to actually understand what you're meant to do. Basically just think, but don't overthink. And if you come to a blank, then it's okay for now. And that's going to be step 16, is don't worry so much, because there's always a way around, okay? Life as a way of coming up with new answers to things that can take the stress off, that can alleviate pressure. Life has a funny way of working out. And if you can just understand that and not worry so much about what can go wrong, then less things will go wrong as a result, because you will have that confidence to just move forward with life and make these decisions without getting so in your head about them, which will mean that things just end up working out better for you. So trust the process of nature and life and the code that causes physics and everything around us, that causes the planes to fly and the birds to sing and everything that is out there. Be one with it, and that's probably step 17, is just to be one with the rest of your world and not to see yourself as something that's outside of the world, like you're looking down at the rest of the world, perceiving it. Because I've kind of, when I was sort of 17, 18, 19, particularly when I was a teenager, I kind of thought of myself, it's not that I didn't know that I was human like everyone else, but I kind of felt like I was unique because I can only see from my perspective. No one else can see from my perspective, so in that way it is unique. But at the same time, I am one with the rest of nature, and I don't mean that in a hippy-dippy way. I mean that as in, I am part of this same species that is all around us, this human race. I am part of that race, running alongside everybody else. I'm not the referee, I'm not in the audience. I'm part of the race, and so are you. So if you can embrace that and just be cool with it and not worry so much about it, then it will be a lot easier to not get in your own head so much about stuff. Which kind of leads me on to step 18, which is keep yourself busy. Ever since I started working on this film, Johnny Moser's Lessons in Confidence, I've had less time on my hands to proliferate around things and to pontificate is the word I meant, not proliferate. Yeah, I don't have as much time to just sit and think about the nature of the human race and the world and my place within it. So I don't worry so much about these things anymore, because these aren't questions that need answers necessarily. It's great that philosophers are trying to find these answers, but whatever answers they find are going to be subjective at the end of the day, because it's not a physics-driven thing. It's not like there is a right answer and a wrong answer to the nature of utilitarianism. There can only be what is best for us, and I mean that in an overall holistic way rather than a hedonist or stoic kind of way where you're trying to chase a singular pleasure via different avenues. I mean in terms of we can only find what makes us happy and try and get as much of that as we can and try and maximize that pleasure through various ways, whether that be in a hedonistic way where we just try and like chase immediate short-term pleasure, or whether it's going to be more stoic kind of stuff where we try and carry on going into the future. You all right? How you doing? Just doing a 50 steps on how to not overthink.
On how to what?
On how to not overthink stuff.
Can I do it?
Yeah, if you want. I'm not on TikTok, I'm on like YouTube and that.
What's a YouTube?
It's Johnny Moser. So if you search Johnny Moser up, it'll probably come up. So, hey up, these are some people that have come over. So in terms of going along with the flow and overthinking stuff, do you ever find yourself overthinking in life?
Yeah, I find myself overthinking sometimes.
Same.
Yeah.
Sometimes with like exams.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is it like you get worried in your own kind of head about
Suicidal.
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, some people think about like suicide too much, which can be bad.
Mm.
Yeah, my friend over there, Alessandro, he can really go into depth with that type of stuff.
Mm.
Is it recording?
Yeah, it's
Why is
recording.
it
Now.
recording me?
Oh, because you got in the shot.
No. Alessandro, stop that.
See, he's overthinking stuff. Oh, he's stressing. He's just gonna stare into it.
Yeah, he's going to stare into the camera.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's fine.
Hey up, we're back.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Hey up, everybody. So yeah, we're on step 19 of overthinking. If you wanted to tell, if someone was overthinking and you were like, hey, stop overthinking, particularly maybe to your friend or whatever, how would you tell them to not overthink anymore?
Don't overthink.
Yeah.
I tell them to, like, you know,
How
maybe
many
try.
points do you have?
About 1,000.
Ooh.
Some things are just out of your control.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't think about it when you can't do anything about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
If something's happened, don't worry about it. If something's gonna happen, think about now. Don't think about then. When it happens, it happens.
So in that sort of lead up to say you've got that thing that you need to do, say it's an exam, that's something that you've got to action, you've got to study for it to make sure, because you want to pass the exam, right? Because if you don't, that causes negative implications going on in life. So it is only natural to be anxious about it and to worry about it, but what can you do? All you can do is action things. All you can do is study and not worry so much about it and have faith in yourself that you are going to pass this exam, because you're fucking sick and you will pass those exams, you know, because you've got that confidence in yourself. That's all you can really do. And if you have that confidence in yourselves, you will just continue through life and do pretty well by yourselves.
Yeah, I agree, to be fair.
So in terms
Can I
of...
say something or a little quote?
Sorry?
Can I say a little quote?
Yeah, go for it.
So actually, my friend here is gonna say it.
What? I don't know what to say.
I was trying to get me demonetized.
If you don't win those football.
Have you got any words that you want to say to the camera in terms of overthinking and being
Fuck
confident?
yes. Live life.
Live life. I think that's a really good way of putting it. You know,
As he said, live life, bro. Live life.
it's like you're having a bit of a unique experience because you've gone out to do this in particular.
What's your YouTube called?
It's called Johnny Mozza.
Johnny Mozza.
Johnny Mozza.
Johnny Mozza.
Joenny. I don't know if you're still searching. I'm just going to give him step 30 in the meanwhile. So it's Johnny Jonny space Mozza. So Mozza. And step 30 is just kind of go with the flow, see where it takes you. I've not done it in this type of interview with the lav mics to people in this sort of TikTok way before. Oh God, that's a shit post. That's for part of the film. Don't listen to those songs, they're god awful. You found me.
How many followers?
It's 800 at the moment.
Who's got followers? What are you on about?
Subscribers, bro.
It's on, I need to start a TikTok at some point, but I can't be doing with it all.
Start TikTok now and you'll get more followers than YouTube.
No, definitely. No, I agree with that.
Bye.
Man, you have a good day, yeah? Take care. So that step 30 is just go with the flow. Everything will be all right. Things will be fine. And, you know, like this just now, people come over, they've joined in the video. I could have gotten in my head about it and I could have stopped the video because it's now not perfect, or I could have embraced what's going to happen, embraced the moment and let them all come in, have their piece, say what they're going to say, and they all said what they were going to say, and I think we had a fun little conversation. They had their fun and I had my fun bringing these people on, so thank you so much to them for being a part of this video, for having the confidence to just come over and try a new experience. They weren't sitting in their head going, oh, what if he thinks this about us? What if he gets annoyed at us? What if he does this, blah, blah, blah. They just did it. They just went and did it, and now you can hear them screaming in the corner and one of them's humping one of the others. So you've got the ability to think in the now and to do what feels right, and you can just do it. As he said, I think it was the guy that sat here, he said it, just live and just do it. And I think that's a really beautiful, beautiful message for it. I don't know if I've really got another 20 steps in me, to be completely honest. I think that might be about all. I think I've covered enough in terms of overthinking, because I think step 31 is fuck getting to 50. Fuck thinking about it all. You don't need to cover everything in one single go. You don't need to get it all done right now. You don't need to do everything. You're fine the way that you are. You are lovely, beautiful human beings just the way that you are now. And all we can do is improve ourselves for ourselves and not for external validation or for any kind of material gain. And all we can do really is just be comfortable in our own skin and not worry so much about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of the day. And when you're lying in bed, just lie there. And just, if you start thinking, put on some of them like 10-minute meditations, because they're quite useful, they're quite fun. And yeah, that's gonna be everything from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the idea of total euphoria. Being in a euphoric state, what's it like, how do you achieve one, and why does life sometimes just have this way of just working out? Because sometimes you can be in the really deepest, darkest, miserable pits of your existence, and it can feel like it's never going to end, and it can feel like the world is constantly against you. And then other times, it just feels like everything's just going to work itself out. So what's going on there? That's something to do with the human nature, the emotions that we all go through, the cycles, the ebbs and flows of life, and all that sort of shit. So I shouldn't be swearing this early in the video. So what you do is, if you want to get into a euphoric state, you need to first get out. Get out and just do shit that is, oh fuck, stop swearing. So you're meant to get out of your house, get out and do stuff, meet new people, find new experiences, that kind of thing. Because look, you've been told time and time again, you've only got one life, live it to the max. You're probably bored of hearing about that, but it's true. People say it for a reason. I get bored of hearing it as well, but I'll tell you what, you need to do it, because honestly, even though while you're in those first moments, say if you're like, all right, to give you an idea, right? This time last year, I was the total opposite of this. I was the total opposite euphoric. I was dephoric, right? And I had this one friend who kept inviting me out, and I just wanted to stay in and just be miserable all fucking day. Stop swearing. And so what I did is I would go, and I felt like I was being a kind of a moody, grumpy kind of arsehole. And I would just sort of sit there and I would try to engage in conversation. I would try my best, but it always felt so difficult for me. And whenever I'd get home, I would kind of breathe this sigh of relief, like, oh, finally back in the comfort zone. I can just be miserable again. And yeah, that kind of carried on and on. And part of me felt like I want to stop doing this, but part of me also felt like that's a bad idea. That's the bad path, because what opportunities do I have if it's just me on my own? I don't have any. As a human race, we have many opportunities because all the connections that we can make here, all these wonderful people in the background that you probably can't see because of the angle. But yeah, I'm having to do this in public because I got kicked out of the last place that I was trying to film. So anyway, that was fair enough anyway. I shouldn't really have been there. So what I'm trying to get at is, if you're in a euphoric state, it's because you've done something. You've earned this state. You don't just, like, if you've won the lottery, sure, you just put the lottery ticket on, but you still put the lottery ticket on, you still did something for it. You have to action in order to, and it doesn't matter what the action is, it's different for everybody. Everybody's action is going to be a little bit different because everybody's life is a little bit different. Maybe you're not like doing the film and the music and stuff, maybe you're writing a book, or maybe you're trying to get a job in retail, or maybe you're trying to get a job in finance, or whatever, you know? We all have different paths in life, and we are all going in our own directions, and we are all trying to learn ourselves inside and out. And I think for getting and achieving the euphoric state, it's learning the out, which is incredibly important, because it's hard to have a euphoric state on your own. Completely on your own, it's not generally going to happen. What tends to happen if you're on your own is, you know, you introspect, you think about the day, you know, you reminisce, you kind of, you know, you can have positive experiences on your own. And, you know, I enjoy my own company. I can be a bit of an introvert, as much as these videos might lead you to believe the opposite. But it's that kind of push through life that kind of gives you this ability to feel on a higher plane, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So when I was going out last year and I didn't really enjoy it and I wasn't feeling it, the reason I kept doing it was because I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about what happens when I get out of this depressive state that I'm in. Once I go up to here, when at the moment I was down there. When I get up to there and I'm still hanging out with these people, what's going to happen there? Because that's a whole connection there, and then there's connections within the connection. You make friends, and then you make friends with their friends, and so on and so on and so on. You know, you're connecting the spider's web of society, you know, a little bit. You become friends with it, because everyone has their first ever friend, right? Well, like the first friend that you ever had then led you to make a couple other friends, and then they made you lead to get a couple more friends, and then you probably met another friend, you know, in some completely different context, and then, you know, you start making a new little web of friends on this side and then this side, and then, you know, they occasionally overlap from time to time, and, you know, sometimes one web will fade and another one will come into the forefront, so on and so forth, because that's the nature of communication between people and human beings, is we go from one person to the next, and building this almost collection of connections collection of connections. I like that. So you kind of see the euphoric state. So in terms of achieving this euphoric state, what you basically do is just remember this phrase: everything will be all right, and if it's not all right, it's not the end. Okay? They stole that from The Exorcist. Mark Kermode is one of his favorite sayings, and that's where I heard it from listening to the Mark Kermode reviews. And it's just such a fun saying because it really makes you feel good in those times where it's not the end. When you are super down low, when everything feels like it's going wrong, when it feels like life is just punching down on you constantly, and you think, God, can you just leave me the fuck alone? You know? And then eventually you kind of like, you get up, and you kind of stagger around a bit. And this is you kind of getting used to, like, you're probably a bit neutral at this point. You're not great, but you kind of remember how not great you just were. And it feels okay compared to that. You're fine, you're all right, you're whatever, you know? And as time goes on and you keep pushing and better things keep happening and you push yourself and try new things and try new experiences, you will get that euphoric state. For me, what seemed to work was starting this YouTube channel, doing the Johnny Mozza film, going out and meeting fucking like dozens and dozens of amazingly talented and beautiful, fucking really interesting people, having such amazing conversations with everybody, and then, you know, just going around and just being able to be my true self, the true me, not like a version of myself that I thought other people would want. The second I just started being myself rather than being Joshua Morrison, the person, the individual, that changed everything. That changed every single facet of my life for the better in every perceivable way. And I know this isn't going to last forever, this euphoric state. It's going to decline at some point. I'm going to go back down to the depressive state. But when that does happen, I can at least know what to do, what to action. And I think that's the important thing, because every time you go through a hardship, you learn the lesson of that hardship. You know, you say you fail an exam. Next time, you're probably not going to fail the exam. Or, you know, you learn a lesson in life. You know, if you're going to work and you try and make connections with your co-workers, and the first few times you're in the first few jobs, you're not doing a particularly good job at it. You're not doing a great job at socializing because you're quite an introverted, maybe like autistic fucking person like me. And as you do it more and more and more and more, you get familiar with what's going on, the general idea, the connections and social, blah, 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 blah. And you figure out how to become better. And as you do more and more and more of it, you will get better at it. And by the time you're on your 10th job, you're just like making really nice connections with people, and you're meeting them outside of work, and you know, you're not dreading the idea of walking with them back to the bus station, so you don't just run and leave before everyone else does, just as soon as you possibly can so you can avoid everyone. Now you're actually enjoying people's company, even if you're an introvert, because I'm a fucking introvert. Well, at least I feel like I am one, but that's the difference between, I don't know, actioning something and planning something, because I've stopped planning everything. If I plan something now, it's not going to happen. But if you just do it, like, then there's nothing to worry about. There's really nothing to worry about. And I'm very sorry that this video is a bit all over the place and that I'm very euphoric right now. But I don't know. I wanted to snapshot this moment, this exact moment in time, because I think I feel the best I have ever felt in my fucking life. This channel is a big part of it, but it's not all of it. But it's a massive part of it. And honestly, thank you all so much for all your comments, your likes, and your emails and stuff like that. It means the fucking world to me. I know I don't respond to everything. I want to, but I just don't have the time. But I would I would love nothing more than to actually respond to every single comment with a proper, deep, personalized thing. But I just don't have the time. And I'm very sorry about that. But I do read everything. And a lot of it really, really makes me quite emotional, actually. Some of them, like, that tell me their little story and how they've been inspired by these videos, they fucking make me tear up. And I'm not a teary, like, emotional crybaby type person, but Jesus Christ. It is actually really hard to see them and just sort of go, fuck me. I'm doing something. I don't know what it is. I don't really know what the appeal of this is, but there is something there. Whatever it is, and I think it is just that. Be yourself. Every time I've ever tried to be something other than myself, it has failed. But this time, just chucked something out, you know, chucked the ball of, you know, self-identity out into the field. And it turns out, you know, it was like in a game of rounders, but everyone was floundering, like the catchers, the fielders were trying to grab it, and then they kept fumbling the ball, and then they threw it the other way, and so on and so forth. Hey, there's a dog. That's dog of the day, that one. With the red collar as well, you might actually be able to see him in the background. Hello. So, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So euphoria. I hope I've managed to give an idea of what euphoria is. Now let's try and figure out how you achieve this euphoric state. I've covered a little bit of it in terms of get out your comfort zone, try new things. You need to go through negative experiences in order to achieve positive experiences, because part of what euphoria is the comparison. Say if you are like standing at the edge of a cliff that goes all the way down like that, right? There's a huge, beautiful vista in front of you, okay? You're like a kilometer above sea level, right? You can see so much. You can see so much beauty out there, right? Now compare that to, imagine you are at 1 kilometer altitude, but it's just like that's what the land is, and it's a flat plain at 1 kilometer above sea level. And you're looking around, you can't see nearly as much, but you are at the same height. You are at the same point on this graph of euphoria and altitude, right? So what I'm trying to get at is it's the point of comparison that makes it so much more interesting. If you never have a negative experience, how can you have the best experience ever? This is kind of why, at least this is a bollocks, probably very privileged point of view to say this, but this is why whenever I see like a documentary from like, you know, some village in Africa, the kids always, and the people, they always seem so happy, because they have extreme negative things going on in their life, from the abject poverty and all the, you know, maybe horrors of the civil war, whatever is going on in that particular country. You know, I don't think I would survive because I'm used to much nicer, more privileged things. So I don't have that point of comparison to do that, but they do. So they are so much happier despite having less happy lives because of the bad times. The bad times allow the good times to feel that much more good because they feel earned rather than just this is what happens. Look at the amount of depressed billionaires and like millionaires and stuff. There's loads of rich people that are depressed, and like I'm not sympathizing with them in any fucking way, by the way. Don't give a shit. Donate your money to charity or some shit if you're that bloody depressed, because obviously the money's not doing you anything. You know, ooh, money doesn't buy you happiness, but I'm going to keep it all anyway, just in case. Like, anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, euphoria. So basically, what I'm trying to say is you need to go through the bad in order to get to the good, because otherwise it's all just going to be ambivalence, and that'd be okay. It would get boring, you know. That's why I don't want to go to heaven, because imagine that it's just that all the time for infinity. I don't want to go to hell either, because then it's just that for infinity. But I don't know, maybe like get a floor pass to both. Yeah, right. I can't think of much else to say, and I feel like this video has been completely incoherent, but I hope you've managed to get something out of it, and from the fact that this is a real portrayal of what being euphoric, or I don't even know if it is euphoria. I'm just fucking happy, all right? I'm just happy. That's it. Maybe euphoria is the wrong word. Maybe euphoria is like some medical fucking term that I shouldn't be using because I'm, you know, misinformed and that kind of thing. But I don't care. I just wanted to get across the idea that if you just get out and you do stuff and you try things, like the thing that made me so euphoric was like, it was a day that I went out and I didn't really want to go on it. I didn't want to go out that day. I kind of was just like, oh God, okay. Right, well, let's just do it, let's just do it. You know, I kind of wanted to stay in and just edit some of these fucking videos, and I'm very glad I didn't do that. Also, this is why some of the videos have been a little bit all over the place as of late. However, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the, because they used to be a bit more like, ooh, here is the point, this is the point I am making the point. Now they're just, I don't know what they are. But I like it, I like them a lot. And I hope that you manage to get something out of them, which is just try random shit, see what happens. Go out your comfort zone, do stuff that's cool, do stuff that maybe you don't even want to do at first, and then you get accustomed to it and then you find yourself really liking it. You know, every dream that you have, if you achieve that dream, you're going to get sick of it at a certain point. That's the kind of the thing, because imagine you want to be a rock star, right? And then you become a rock star, okay? Think of all the, it's not all just like down on the stage and like groups or whatever like is appealing about rock stars to you. It's you know, the waiting at the airports, it's the sitting in the back rooms, it's the tuning your fucking guitar and having to learn the song that you wrote 15 years ago, which you are so goddamn sick of. And you got to play it for the 100th time because they want to hear it. They want to hear that song. They don't care about the fucking new stuff you're writing. They're not interested. They want to hear that one song, you know, and that really gets you down. You know, these kind of things, you know, hardships will always be there no matter where you are in life. There is no escaping hardship. There is no escaping pain. There is no anything like that. All you can do is get through it and you come out on the other side on top. And yeah, that's going to be everything from me. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm going to do like a walking into the distance thing. But I'm going to keep having to look back because my camera is just sat on my coat. It's actually quite fucking cold. Right. Bye. Right. Coming back now. Please don't be windy. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about impulse and about scheduling. So if you've sort of seen any sort of self-improvement stuff on the internet, if you've sort of tried to, you know, you're in a hole and you want to get out of the hole, one of the most common pieces of advice is to start sticking to a schedule and start to schedule your life and do things according to that schedule. And that means kind of doing the same thing each and every day. Obviously, like the specifics will be a little bit different, but the general idea is to do things in the same way for a long time and let yourself become one with that schedule. And as time goes on, you'll become more stable a person, which will allow you to become more, you know, lucid of your own failings and allow you to work on them and improve on them. And I do agree that it is important to have a schedule. It's important to go out there and actually know what you're doing throughout, say, a week or throughout a day, and to get that sort of down. And once you come back and you've done all that, it is very satisfying to feel like you are actually one with the schedule. But I don't think it's such an all-encompassing thing that you should stick to. I think that whenever I've done schedules in the past and I've stuck to a schedule, I feel almost like my life is becoming this quite dull thing, because it's like, okay, what do I have to do? I have to get up, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to go to the gym first, and then I have to work on videos after. And say if I wake up and I feel very motivated to work on videos, but say if I'm sticking so rigidly to the schedule that I go to the gym first and then do the video afterwards, that video isn't going to be the best, and the gym isn't going to be the best either, because I'm just wanting to get back and do the video. So I think that as long as you're trying to get certain things done in a day and you want to get those things done, that's enough of a schedule for me. I feel like if you try and regiment everything into these blocks of this is what I do, and then I do this, and then I do this, for me at least, it becomes a sort of thing where it just, what's the point of living at that point? You're just kind of grinding your way through the day. All right, this day has been checked off the list. How many more days till I die? Oh, about 30,000. Okay, let's do this right tomorrow, and we'll do that just the same way as we did today. And then we're going to do this and this and this. And to me, it just sort of feels like there's no point in living if you're living rigidly to a schedule. Obviously, sometimes you need to. I use schedules for when there is that specific purpose that something needs to be done. There is like for instance, if you've got a 9-to-5 job, whenever I've had a 9-to-5 job, a schedule is kind of useful because it can just help you work around that 9-to-5. So like I would go to the gym before work, and I would make a point to go to the gym before work. That way I have more time in the evening to myself to just do what I want to do, right? I didn't like going to the gym after work. So when I woke up late, too late to go to the gym, but you know, on time to actually get to work, I would get out of work and then I'd have to go to the gym, and then I'd end up getting home and I wouldn't have nearly as much time to myself afterwards. So that is a situation where a schedule can be quite useful. But for me and what I do, which is kind of freelancing, kind of quite a chaotic a lifestyle where you're doing different things all the time, and like I don't work in a regimented fashion. I do a few hours here, a few hours here, you know, and in different locations as well. So I'll be traveling to different places, and travel time changes according to what I'm doing. So sometimes I might be on the Circle line, sometimes I might be on the Elizabeth line, sometimes I might be on the Jubilee line, sometimes I might be getting a bus somewhere, sometimes I might be in central London, sometimes I might be out in Ruislip, sometimes I might be in fucking Redbridge. I've never actually been to Redbridge, but you know the kind of thing I mean, Lewisham and, you know, Hawley and all these sort of places. You end up going and doing different things each day. Well, semi-similar things because it's the same industry. I'm doing vaguely similar things in terms of videography and so on. But you're doing different things. So the schedule is still semi-present, but it's not taking over your life, and it's not dictating what you have to do. It's and how you want to do it. It's just dictating what you want to do, but it's not dictating how you should approach it. So for me, instead of having like times of when I need to get everything done, I prefer to do a to-do list. At the end of the day, I will write out a little to-do list for the next day. And it will be usually like go to the gym, film and edit 2 of these, work on some stuff for the film, maybe call this person, maybe make sure that this person is ready for this day of filming that's coming up. Maybe it will be editing some other side bits of content that I've got to do. Or maybe it's, you know, oh, I need to do this job at like 4 p.m. So that means that I should try and get up a bit earlier. So I go to the gym first and then do the 2 talk videos before that 4 p.m. while the light is still out. And then I'll be out of that place for 9, and then I'll probably be home at about 10:30. And that means that I can just quickly have some dinner. So I also want to, you know, pre-prepare something maybe the night before where I can have a meal that can be hot out the oven that day, and then I can just reheat the leftovers the next day, and that kind of helps you out there. So that kind of thing. I do it on a day-to-day and figure out what the schedule will be for the next day, rather than making this fixated thing. This is how I do it this day, this day, this day. Mondays I do this, Tuesdays I do this, Wednesdays I go over here, Thursdays I go see my friends, Fridays I do this. I don't think life works like that, and I don't think it should work like that either, because I feel like the impulsiveness of life is and the chaos of what goes on around you is something that you should embrace with you know, all your might. And when you do that, you kind of realize that life is so much more enjoyable when you're approaching it from the point of view of the moment, rather than from the point of view of, this is what I told myself I was going to do before, so I need to do it so that I satisfy my prior self who told me to do this. So my prior self told me tomorrow I've got to do this, 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 and this, and this, like I do every other day. So I'm gonna do that and that and that. Okay, brilliant. You ever start a schedule and you're sticking to it really, you know, regimentedly for the first maybe week, 2 weeks, and then you're still doing it, but it starts to feel a little bit crap, and you start to feel a bit empty inside, and like kind of a shell of yourself, like you're just going through the motions, you know. And life shouldn't be about going through the motions. Life should be about being alive and feeling alive and trying new experiences and putting yourself out your comfort zone and you know, being in different situations quite often. You know, as many situations as you can get out of life is the recipe for a good life. Have you ever seen someone that, you know, had a really good life that consisted of them just sitting on the sofa, just watching telly all day? I enjoy sitting on the sofa watching telly, but I wouldn't want to do it for the entirety of my life. I mean, all the people's lives that are some of the best lives are people that go out and do stuff, people who have traveled, people who have gone to faraway places, people that have lived extreme experiences, people that have, you know, done crazy stuff that they have to discuss with other people. And most of those people don't necessarily stick to a rigid structure. They kind of just allow things to happen. And that's not to say they don't obviously structure what's coming next. I see it as like, you know, in the episode of Wallace and Gromit where I think it's The Wrong Trousers, where there's I can't remember, it's like a little robot or something, and the robot starts running off with something, and he gets on a train, like a toy train with like the tracks and stuff, and he's laying down the tracks as the train is speeding ahead. That's kind of how I think that you should approach life, because you're doing that in slow motion. You're not doing it literally at that speed where it's a train rolling through. You're doing it at the speed of walking and just putting down the plank in front of you. And you can take a stop and take a breather, look around at your surroundings and kind of go, okay, what am I doing? You can take stock, and then you can use the lessons that you learn from taking stock to implement into what you're going to do next. And as you kind of go through life that way, which is still semi-scheduling, I'm not anti-scheduling, because that would just mean that you don't get anything done whatsoever, because you need to actually say, I'm going to go out and do this. I don't just randomly walk out the house and go to Tottenham Court Road and film a video. I think, all right, I need to go here to meet this person. Well, while I'm there, I can also film a video. Okay, so I'll probably film a video while I'm out there. And I'll be on the train, I'll be thinking, what could I maybe talk about? And then when I'm looking around for a location, I might find a location that makes me want to actually talk about something different. Or an idea might come up in the conversation I had with whoever I was meeting that I want to, get out there a bit more. So things change in the moment, and you should embrace those changes, and you should embrace what comes your way, because if life stayed the same, then there's no point in, continuing with life, because if it's just going to be like this forever, even if you're kind of satisfied with it, what else is there to glean? What else is there to know? What else is there to learn, And it's about the exploration. I think that's why we are such a successful species in terms of, building all this stuff, why we're able to entirely change the landscape, why we're able to put this river in where it's a canal, why we're able to build this giant bridge that you can't really see behind me. This is why you're able to do all of these things as a species, because we go and figure out what we're going to do, and then we do it. And I think as time has gone on, from a more top-down governmental point of view, the idea of bureaucracy is kind of the governmental political equivalent to scheduling in this sort of thing. So say the Country, Town and Planning Act of 1947, right? Where suddenly now you need to get planning permission for everything. That causes a lot more bureaucracy. That causes things to need to be scheduled out. You need to schedule out meetings with like so and so forth. You need to put the paperwork in. Someone needs to fill out the paperwork. Someone needs to bring the paperwork back. Someone needs to sort this out and then do this and this and this and this and this and this, right? So a very simplified version of the process of planning permission, particularly for like commercial, buildings and large scale things that would need quite, complex inspections on, safety standards, and is this going to work, and is this going to make sense, blah, 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 blah. Right? So yeah, you've got the bureaucracy going on there, and as a result, less gets built, less gets done, and in the UK at least, for the past 30, 40 years, we've been seeing a stagnation in new buildings coming around, new architecture, and we've developed a housing shortage as a result of that, and that's led to an awful lot of problems. So to use that as a metaphor for your own self, that is kind of like, if you do stick to this schedule that you have set out for yourself, even if as time goes on, you start to think maybe the schedule isn't actually working for me. So you should always be adjusting your schedule as time goes on. You should always be, tweaking things and adjusting things to make sure that it still fits the you of today, rather than the you of 5 months ago when you came up with the idea of this particular schedule that I'm going to get up and then do the gym and then go to work and then get back and then make, I'm going to make tikka masala on Mondays, and I'm going to make pasta on Tuesdays, I'm going to make a salad on Wednesdays, and I'm going to, all of these different things that you just start doing the same thing on the same days of the week. You kind of commodify your own life, and you turn your life into this thing that's being lived for a past version of yourself, to achieve dreams for the future. So you're somehow both thinking in the past and in the future, but never in the present. And that's why I go through life and just try and make it up as I go along and just do stuff, because I get much, much more success out of that, because it's not like I haven't tried scheduling. It's not like I haven't tried doing this stuff. And if it works for you, please go in the comments and give me your experiences. Tell me how it worked for you. Tell me what you did, because I'd love to know, and I'd love to, maybe try doing a schedule again one day, because I want to stay open-minded to new ideas at all times, because that's how we grow and develop as people. That's what this is all about. It's not about scheduling, it's about growth, because I feel like scheduling is about maintaining a status quo for a long period of time, whereas what I'm talking about is doing more like this, where you develop constantly based on what's going on. So you're going to the gym first in the morning, maybe this isn't really working out for you. Maybe you're someone that should be maybe going to the gym in the afternoon. Maybe it doesn't matter when you go to the gym, as long as you just fucking go. Maybe, you know, it doesn't matter when you do stuff or how you do it, as long as it actually gets done at the end of the day. And you shouldn't necessarily worry so much about, you know, the rigid specifics of these things, because does it matter if I filmed this at 10 a.m., 12 p.m. or 4 p.m.? No. Why would that affect the video in any way, you know, as an end result? And it's the same thing with scheduling. Does it matter if you have a bath in the morning or the evening? Does it matter if you go to the gym in the morning or the evening? Does it matter if you have tikka masala on Wednesdays instead of Thursdays? Does it matter if you do things differently slightly from time to time, you know? As long as your life feels like it's got some level of stability, then you don't need any kind of schedule. If you feel like your life has no stability at all, that is where a schedule can come in quite useful, because that's when going through the motions and having this rigid structure can actually be beneficial to you, because it can comfort you and make you feel like your life is getting back on track, right? And you want to be on the tracks, but you don't necessarily want to know your destination, because you might have an idea of where you want to go, but you might get there and find that it's not actually what you want. Have you ever had a dream, achieved the dream, and it turned out to not really be as good as you thought? So then you come up with another dream, and then you chase that, and then you end up achieving that dream, and that turns out to be not as good as you thought. I think a lot of it is about the journey and the satisfaction of having done stuff, rather than about the end result itself, and about that actual making that thing happen. Every time you achieve a dream, there is that moment of euphoria. Like when I finished my first film and it was screened at this auditorium thing in Maidenhead, one of the most profound moments of my life, and it came as a result of all the hard work that had come before. And there was a period in the editing towards the end where I did have to sit down and regiment my weeks, because I had to pack in as much productivity as humanly possible. So I had to sit down and really crunch to get that film done on time. And I'm not actually proud of that film anymore. I kind of have written that film off, and I'll probably never show it to the world again, because I'm not satisfied with it, I'm not happy with it. But it taught me where I wanted to go next, and that taught me where I wanted to go after that, and so on and so on and so on, until you get to the version of me that is here today talking to you. So the constant development is what I'm talking about, the growth like that, rather than the scheduling where you go along like that. Because if you schedule things out, if I had scheduled out that kind of thing and I'd gone with that kind of mentality, I would have very simply just done more of that, and I wouldn't have developed as a person. I wouldn't have changed course. I wouldn't have adjusted things. And I think you need to do that to be the fullest you that you can possibly be. And I think if you go into the world sort of thinking that you can structure things for your own future, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, that's not going to work for everybody. It certainly doesn't work for me, and it might not work for you. If it has worked for you, again, please put it in the comments below, and because I'd love to know kind of what it is specifically that worked for you. Maybe there was something when I was doing scheduling that I was kind of doing wrong. To me, it felt like if I schedule things out, it's kind of just going to make my life feel like an everlasting rut, even though I'm doing stuff, and even though I am actually getting things done. It felt like there's this idea that I read somewhere called dopamine withdrawal, purposeful dopamine withdrawal, wherein you decrease the amount of satisfaction that goes on in your life by cutting out things that you find satisfying and attractive. So, you know, that's the basic, you know, stop having a pizza, stop, you know, watching stupid TV and only watch intellectual kind of things. Maybe it's, you know, you need to get up at 5 a.m. every morning and stop enjoying your little lion in the morning, those little things. And when I tried that, I did it for maybe a month. I didn't really notice any major improvement in myself, my worldview, or my mental well-being. Instead, I kind of felt bored. I felt bored by the world because I was putting myself through that boredom on purpose for the sakes of self-improvement and development of my inner being, right? When what I do now, by comparison, is a lot more freeing and a lot more impulsive and a lot more interesting to me as a result, because I can just go out there and decide I'm going to do this, and then within a couple of days it's done, or within that day it's done. And if I go through life thinking of with the next week in mind rather than the next year, you end up making the most out of every week, and every week feels a little bit longer as a result. It feels like time is stretched since I stopped scheduling things out. When I was doing schedules for myself, every week kind of just started to just blast through, even though I wasn't doing it for very long. And I imagine that effect would only compound as time went on. And I don't think that that's necessarily the way that it should be for me at least, and possibly for you watching this video. And again, if you disagree, I would love to know. I've said that 3 times now. And yeah, to round this off, I think that schedules can be useful for specific things. You should make a schedule for this particular day or this particular week. I need to get this done by the end of the week, so here are the steps I must follow to achieve that, right? Rather than a self-developmental, mental well-being type schedule where you are trying to improve yourself and your habits and your routine. I don't agree with the idea of a routine. I don't necessarily, obviously sometimes you fall into one. I find if I fall into a routine, that's when I get stuck in a rut, and that's when I start to get bored with life. When, every day of a week brings something new, that is when it feels like life is being lived. And yeah, I think that's gonna be everything for today. Thank you so much for watching this. If you liked sort of what I'm talking about here, I do other videos about this sort of various overarching philosophy, worldview. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I like doing these videos because it just sort of helps me establish my own worldview, my own mindset, and for some reason people enjoy it, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as people keep enjoying it. And if they all stop, I'll probably keep doing it anyway. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this. Have a great day. Whatever you got to do tomorrow, hope you get it done. And if you are following a routine at the moment and you are starting to get a bit bored by it, change things up. That would be all. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey up everybody. My name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I don't really know what to talk about. And I've been thinking about that for the past few days, sort of wondering, how long can I keep doing this whole walking around, finding little locations, talking about whatever's on my mind? Because how much really is on my mind? How much is on a person's mind? How much does one individual have to say? And I don't actually have the answer to that, because it sort of always seems like I'm coming to the end of the well, but then I get close to the end of the well, and then it's like the well just gets deeper. And then there's more to explore, and every time I do a video, there's then another way I can tackle that issue, or there's another thing that I can do to sort of sit here and go, oh, that could be kind of interesting if you handle it from this sort of angle. Or maybe I say something like off the cusp in one video and I want to expand on it in another, and then that video that's expanding on the first video, I come up with another thing and I expand on that in a third video, and so on and so forth. I think doing these videos has actually been incredibly useful in figuring out my own worldview, my own sense of self, and my own aims and ambitions in life, and figuring out just, what the point of all this is. And it's not like I have some answers for you, by the way. I don't have any answers for you in this video. There's nothing for you in this video other than just general meandering, trying to figure things out as we go along. And that's cool. It's good to figure things out as we go along, because what's the alternative? You figure everything out beforehand and then you just paint your numbers your way through fucking life? What are you gonna do? Just sit there and just sit in the passenger seat in the car as your car just drives you through, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, and then you're just dead once you get to your destination. You're just looking out the window the whole time. You weren't in control. You just sort of went along with things and didn't really take initiative to be your own person, your own self really, and find your own way around things, and take risks. And whenever you take a risk, new things can come from that. I think everything that has ever happened that's been good in my life, at least, now and maybe yours as well, has come from the fact that I took a risk. And I don't know how to necessarily quantify that. I mean, I can say basic, like one, for instance, is when I did a film up in Sheffield a few years ago, and that sort of opened up an awful lot in terms of myself and who I can talk to, and what, you know, connections are, and you know, my sense of geography as well. It really opened up a lot for my own self, and that's good. That's a very good thing compared to if I had just stayed home and done nothing. You know, there were some negative experiences that came out of doing that, but I would rather take the bad and have some good as well, even if the bad outweighs the good, because otherwise you're just going to get, you know, mediocrity and nothingness. And do you want a life that's full of nothing? Obviously, like, part of life is to try and reduce suffering. No one wants to maximize suffering. That's not what I'm saying, but I think it's good to have a little bit of the bad so that you can have a little bit of the good, even if you end up with a fair bit of the bad and a little bit of the good. It's fine to have these things. It's fine to go through life making some wrong decisions from time to time and learning from them. As long as you know, learn from them and you decide what works for you and how things should, you know, continue for yourself, then you're doing everything right. That's all you need to do. And as long as you have fun along the way and you explore stuff and it's all working, then what do you really have to worry about? Obviously, I'm not talking in terms of material, physical things like, you know, monetary, financial worries and stuff like that. I'm thinking more from a internal, philosophical sort of point of view. What do you have to lose from not taking risks? And I mean that in the sense of, you know, small things, trying out a new hobby, or you know, going to that event that you kind of don't really want to go to because you feel like it's going to be a little bit boring. Go, and if it's boring, it's boring. And then you can talk to someone about how it was boring. And then they can relate to you because they've also gone to a thing that was boring as well. And we all have those experiences, and we can relate to other human beings because of that. And we can just do stuff that way. And that's fine. Why worry about things so much? Why let our own heads prevent us from achieving our aspirations? Because, you know, we can set whatever aspirations we want. And if we achieve them, then we're doing something right, aren't we? So why not, you know, set them to something that's achievable and make sure that you can actually do them. Obviously, like, don't set your aspirations to be like, I don't know, president of the fucking world or something, because you don't get that. You're going to be a bit annoyed, aren't you? And, you know, I suppose we've all at some point wondered what it'd be like to be the emperor of the universe. And to be honest, I don't think I'd want it. I'd rather just sort of mill about, really, doing these videos, because if anyone can take anything away from this video, it should be this. Don't worry so much, but don't go with the flow just blindly. You know, take some time to look at both options, or as many options as there are. Make a decision, own that decision, because if you own the decision, that's your decision. And even if you regret the active decision itself, you can't regret the consequences of that decision, because the consequences of that decision are what lead via the butterfly effect to all the beautiful things that come to you later down the line in life. Like, for instance, I don't know, say if you fail your GCSEs. Failing your GCSEs means you can't get into the university you want. Not getting into the university you want means you end up in another university where you meet your best friend, right? If you've gotten your GCSEs, you've never met this person. So would you rather pass your GCSEs? Or would you rather have this person? Well, now you've got this person, you've already made the decision. You've already, well, it's not really a decision, you failed your GCSEs. You tried to pass them, obviously, but you just failed. But you've got this at the same time. So everything that has, every time a door closes, a window fucking opens. That's the phrase, isn't it? And it is true. Every time something bad happens, as long as you're on the lookout for windows, you'll find them all over the fucking place, because it turns out you're in a fucking church or something with like painted glass windows all over the fucking shop. There's so many windows out there that you can be finding and, you know, climbing through and getting to the new experiences. But if you just stay in that room with a closed door and an open window, just sort of looking over like that, and the window's over there, well, you might as well just not even exist, really, because you can just, you know, you're not doing anything. You're just going through the motions of life. Fuck the motions, try stuff. Even if it fails, even if you end up upset because of it, you tried it. What's the harm, you know? It's only you, and you can take the brunt of things, because you are a powerful fucking individual and you know that you are. So why not try it and see what happens? And if it does succeed, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to try, whatever it is that you've been offered up on a silver plate, just try it. See what fucking happens. And if something good happens, then something good happens. And that's fine. Like, for instance, with this video, I literally started this video by saying, "Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence." I didn't know what I was going to say after that. I had no clue. I didn't have a single iota. I was kind of wandering around up and down as the light was going, thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to try and think of? And I was looking through the various titles that I've got on my phone. I've come up with titles for various videos on my phone, and I've just got a big list now. And sometimes I just pick some. I couldn't think of anything, so I just thought I'm just going to impromptu it and just see what happens. And it turns out what happens is, you know, maybe not the best video ever, maybe it was a bad decision to make this video, but at the same time, if this video can help one person, then I've climbed through the window. And if it doesn't help one person, then maybe it leads one person to do something else, or maybe it helps me to make the next video a bit better, or whatever, you know? Everything has consequences, but those consequences bring opportunity, is the way that I see it. And I wouldn't trade that for fucking anything. I like the fact that the world works like that. The world is pretty decent. And obviously there's problems within the world. I'm not saying that the world is fucking hunky-dory or anything. There's loads of issues with the world. But all we can do is just try and make the most of it, really. So, yeah, I think that's going to be the video. Thank you very much for watching this utter mess of a video where I think I've just bounced from topic to topic. This is kind of a sampler of what all these videos are like. Some of them are more focused than others, but this is basically what they are like. It's me sort of figuring stuff out. I'm gonna see if I can grab that. Yes! Get in! It wasn't exactly a slam dunk, but it was something. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a good rest of the day. Love you all. Please leave your comments below about, leave your comments below about what the hell you think this video is about. And if you have a better title than whatever I've titled this video, please suggest it, because fuck it, you know? So, bye-bye, everybody. Have a good rest of the day. Take care. And yeah, you're great. Yes, I am doing. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the idea of loving oneself, because a lot of people out there like to beat themselves up and they like to get themselves down over various flaws that they have in their personality, or maybe their physical appearance, or maybe their mental health, or maybe their mental capability, you know. I mean, sometimes I think I'm stupid. Other people think they're stupid all the time. You know, we all doubt ourselves in various ways. And I wanted to make this video as a very simple thing. You don't have to be perfect in order to love yourself. Think about the people that you love, right? And think about whether they are perfect. Now take away your bias towards them, because obviously you love them. Say you've got a son and you love that son to the ends of the earth. But you also recognize that they're not a perfect specimen. They have things that are wrong with them, right? They're not perfect in every single way. Now look at yourself and realize that you also have things that are wrong with you. And think about how you treat your own self. And then consider, would you treat another person like that? So I sometimes beat myself up and I get myself down about various things. You know, and it's quite easy to sort of go, oh, you fucking idiot, or whatever, you know, and you kind of get yourself down a little bit like that. And think about this. Would you say that to, say, your son, or I don't know, your family or your friends or the other people that you really care about? Would you say to them, you fucking idiot, what are you doing that for? Do you think you're fucking clever or something? Like, unless they did something really wrong. I'm talking about just, you know, messing something up, really basic, you know, like maybe, I don't know, have you ever like boiled the water, gone to put it in the pan, but you kind of turned the hob on first, and then you've left the pot on the hob with no water in it, and then you poured the water on afterwards. I've done that a couple times. And whenever I have done that, I've kind of gone, Josh, you fucking idiot. What do you do that for? You fucking moron. You fucking nearly destroyed that pan, you idiot. really, what the fuck were you thinking? Are you fucking stupid or something? What, like, why did you do that? You do it normally most times, you do it properly. Why did you do it wrong? And you kind of get like that. And the way I started to realize it was, I'm treating myself like an abusive partner a little bit. Like, if someone treated you like that, get the fuck away from them, right? But when it comes to your own brain, you just allow it because it's you, and you can treat yourself however you want because it's only you. So I wanted to make this video just to sort of say, look, you're not perfect. You're not great at everything. You're not a perfect specimen. You're not totally fine. You have places to improve. You have things that you can work on. You have flaws, and there's things that, you know, sometimes someone just won't like you, and that's fine. People aren't always going to like you, but you know, you can always try and like yourself because you're stuck with yourself. I can't get a break from me. I'm stuck with me. After this video's gone, you get to be done with me. I've got to keep doing this, right? So I don't get a break from myself, and you don't get a break from yourself either. And if you've got, you know, various mental health issues or whatever, or you've got anxieties or depression or whatever, and you get yourself really down about things, it can be very, very, very easy to just make yourself utterly fucking miserable over nothing of real substance whatsoever. So I feel like, just recognize that you're not perfect, but that doesn't mean that you can't be happy with who you are. You can sense that there are things that you can improve on, but that doesn't mean that you have to get yourself down over where you are now, because you have been trying up until this point, right? And you're going to continue trying from this point. So you're doing everything right. Just because progress is maybe slower than you anticipated, or maybe something went wrong that you couldn't have seen coming, so what at the end of the day? Because it's not like when you die, you get to a big pearly gate and there's a guy that goes, did you do everything you said you were going to do? Because if you didn't, you're not getting in, right? You know, once you die, it's kind of however you see the afterlife or whatever, but I don't think there's going to be someone there that's going to get on your grill and grill you out about, you know, everything that you did wrong. Right? Unless you did some like really awful, nasty stuff, like you murdered someone or something. Like, obviously, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about normal things. Like, for instance, maybe a time when you had a conversation, you felt like you said something quite awkward, and you noticed their body language change a little bit after that situation. I've done that where I've said something just really stupid and inappropriate and then look back on it and realize that was actually quite a nasty thing to say to someone. Why did you say that? Would you like someone to say that to you? And that's when getting down on yourself can be okay, when you are sort of telling yourself off a little bit for something that you have done wrong. But it's distinguishing between what's legitimate and what's not. Like the hob thing. Yeah, obviously it was a bit of a stupid thing to do, but I didn't need to get myself so down about it, because I am going to make that mistake again at some point, and it is something that comes from an honest mistake. Every time I've done it, it's been because I'm like rushing around trying to do like 5 different things at once, and I've just like, my brain just had a bit of a, you know, brain aneurysm, not a brain aneurysm, just a little brain fart, you know? And that's why that happened. But something like that is something that you do, like the example of saying, oh, you said something really nasty to someone by accident without intending it to come off that way. You know, that is something that you can just sort of sit yourself down and kind of go, where did I go wrong with this? How can I do this better next time? And that's what you should do, rather than actually getting down on yourself, which can feel good, so, like in a weird, like self-deprecating kind of way. It can feel good to kind of get angry at yourself, because you want to get angry at other people, but you can't because you're reserved in that sort of way. But you can get angry at yourself, because what you're going to do, fight back against your brain like that. You can't do that, right? So you kind of just go through and you beat yourself up over stuff, and then you recover from your wounds, and then something else happens and you beat yourself up over it, and you're constantly recovering from these self-inflicted mental wounds that you put upon yourself. And you don't need to do any of this. You can just love yourself for who you are and not worry about where you want to be, because you're not there yet. And when you do get there, you're still going to be beating yourself up, because there's going to be a new fucking destination that you'll have come up with. And once you get to that one, there'll be another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. You're never going to get to nirvana, okay? It's just not going to happen. So why don't you bring nirvana to you? Instead of constantly chasing the fucking rainbow, why don't you just take in the colour that surrounds you? Because you live in a very colourful fucking world with loads of really nice people, loads of really interesting things to discover and explore. There's loads of beauty in the world. Why don't you just take some of it in and realise that there's beauty within yourself as well? And not worry so much about, you know, how you look or how you think or what's wrong with you or what's right with you. And particularly on the looks thing, by the way. If you ever have like a romantic partner and, you know, you're sort of getting yourself down about how you look, right? And you think you look kind of ugly. Think about how you see them, that other person. Think that you probably think they're pretty fucking good looking, right? But they probably don't. They probably think that they've got stuff that's wrong with them. But when they try and explain what's wrong with them to you, it just sounds like alien to me anyway. It's just like, what are you fucking talking about? You know, so it's all a matter of perspective. So I think, you know, with the body thing, it's very hard to obviously get over, you know, body conscious images and stuff like that. And it's a realm that I'm not equipped to actually discuss. But all I can say is, you know, try your best to not worry about it, because it's nowhere near as important as it feels. And you're also probably wrong about your own body, like, consciousness image. And with your brain as well, you're probably wrong about, you know, how dumb you think you are. You're probably way more intelligent than you think you are. Like, for a long time, I thought I was quite a stupid person, and it turns out I'm actually not. It was when I talked to someone and I just out of nowhere said Nietzsche, and they said, who? And it's like, I don't even know much Nietzsche. I know he's the founder of nihilism. That's it. That's all I really know about the fucker. I barely even know what nihilism is, to be honest. So I'm not saying I'm an intelligent person, but I can have the confidence in myself to have some kind of, I don't know, self-love, I guess, to just sort of go through life and just be okay and content. And it's not that I haven't had mental health issues before, you know, and it's not like I don't sometimes have bad days where I get myself down and I beat myself up, and I maybe making this video to sort of remind myself as well as yous to just be okay with things. Like, look at this right now. This is not a professional look, fucking snotting up right now, but you know what, like, is someone really going to get on your case and they're going to like jeer and laugh at you because you got a runny nose in the cold? And if they do, fuck them, you know? Like, why get yourself down over things that are just basic humanity sort of things, you know, that everyone does and everyone suffers from, that aren't unique to you, okay? And even if they are unique to you, sometimes that can be a good thing. It can be, that's the little quirks that make you you. And, you know, one person might not like them, another person might really like them, and that's just a matter of perspective as well. And you know, it's very difficult to sort of figure yourself out in the context of a, you know, broader group of people. Like, say you're in high school, for instance, right? High school is a really nasty environment for the really awful people that want to get you down, which that environment can then in turn make your own brain work against you, because your brain almost joins the side of your, let's call them oppressors, bullies, just nasty, snobby people that are just trying to put you down and like make you feel bad about yourself. When you don't have to. You don't have to feel bad about yourself, because you don't have to be perfect in order to love yourself. You really don't. You can be completely flawed inside and out, particularly because some of your heroes, all of your heroes in fact, are also very flawed people. And I bet at least one of those heroes of yours you like because of one of their flaws. Like Nick Drake, for instance, an incredibly reserved individual, like so incredibly reserved that just saying an incredibly reserved individual really doesn't do it justice. He was actually really quite damaged, to be honest. And, you know, I bet if I sat down and had a proper conversation with him, I wouldn't come away from it thinking, there's an amazingly lovely human being that like I want to like hang out with forever and I want him to be my best friend. I probably wouldn't come away from the conversation like that. But at the same time, that's not to say that someone else wouldn't. You know, that someone else wouldn't get something out of him. And that, you know, we're all humanity is a basic subjective thing, and what one person likes, another person doesn't. It's like some people like rap, some people like pop, some people like rock, some people like R&B, some people like harsh fucking noise, Merzbow stuff. We all like different things. Some of them are more niche, some of them are more accessible, and it's not about just trying to make yourself as accessible to everyone, because then you're just a blank slate for other people to decide your personality for you. And do you really want that, or do you want to decide your own personality? Admit your faults to yourself, own your faults, and just go through life not caring what others think of you, unless it's something that actually is something that you need to develop and work on. And even if that's the case, even if you have got stuff you need to work on, that doesn't mean you can't love yourself, because it's important to love yourself, because who else is going to love you if not you? If you don't love yourself, how can anyone else love you? Because you are the first, most key tenet of love. It'd be like life trying to exist on Earth without the sun, right? So love yourself and admit that you're not perfect. Don't worry about the fact that you're not perfect, because I'm not perfect. The other commenters down below aren't perfect. The people in the fucking suggested aren't perfect, especially the ones that think they are, right? None of us are perfect. None of us are ever going to be perfect. And we should make that part of why we are so great. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it wasn't too all over the place. But yeah, I just want you to be happy and go out there and do happiness unto the world. So yeah, have a good rest of the day, everybody, and take care. Bye-bye. It's really cold out here. Oh. Hey up everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about confidence, particularly if you're trying to make a film and maybe you're in it and you're starring in it and you're doing everything on it. How do you have the confidence to kind of go around and make sure everything gets done and you get the best product possible? Well, that can involve kind of embarrassing yourself in front of other people. I mean, the nature of film is to put your vulnerabilities on a screen to some degree, and whether it's not, maybe it's not your vulnerabilities as a director or a writer, maybe it's the vulnerabilities of the character that you're trying to get into, a different mentality, a different person's head, etc., etc. You're trying to find those vulnerabilities and you're trying to showcase them in a way that is interesting to the viewer. And it's hard to do that without, in turn, embarrassing yourself in real life. So yesterday, I did some filming and I was showing it to someone and they sort of said, do you not get embarrassed when you're out doing this sort of stuff? Because I was kind of like, all like this. I was standing up, but like the shot won't let me stand up. So I was doing all that kind of stuff, and so yeah, they asked me, does that not feel embarrassing? And I was like, well, yeah, but who gives a shit? It's just members of the public. They're people I'm never going to see again. If I do meet them, they're not going to have remembered that one instance of me embarrassing myself in public to a bunch of strangers, however long ago that might have been, months or years ago, or whatever. So it doesn't matter, and you need to get to grips with the fact that nobody cares about what you're doing. Nobody minds, nobody's upset, nobody's annoyed at you, nobody's gossiping behind your back, sort of going, oh, he's a shit. And if they are, then why do you need to care about their opinion? There's only a couple reasons for that. One, you're relying on them for something in life. Maybe you're living at their house or it's your boss or whatever. Or two, oh no, you can walk past it. It's part of the whole thing. Yeah. Just doing like this sort of motivational sort of videos and shit like that. Ah, cheers. You have a good day, yeah? Take care. See? No one cares. No one minds. No one minds about stuff. And if someone does come up, you end up having a nice little interaction. So as I was saying, nobody's gossiping behind your back about, he might be walking off thinking, that was a bit interesting, that was a bit weird. I wonder what he's doing. I wonder if I see it somewhere. And then he'll probably forget about it. He'll get home, his life will move on, and new things will happen to him. He'll meet new people, and his life will continue down a different avenue from mine. And that was just a little interlocking thing right there. We just interlocked for a split second, and then he goes off and does his own thing. And that's how it is with every single person on planet Earth. The only difference is how long that interlocking process lasts. Is it like this, or is it more that you parallel with one another for a little bit and then you split off? Which can be the case for longer term friendships that might last, say, 15 years, or maybe a relationship that lasts however long, or whatever, right? That's your relationships with every other single human being on planet Earth. It's a temporary thing. Even if you're together for the rest of your lives, it's still a temporary thing, because at some point you are going to die, and at that point you will diverge. But it's not a problem to embarrass yourself in front of others, because these things aren't remembered in that way. People aren't going to bring it up to you in some way that is meant to put you down. And if they do, they're a knobhead, and you shouldn't, be putting yourself in their company, and you shouldn't be relying on their approval. Why rely on others for their approval? Because you need the confidence boost from others in order to be able to make yourself feel better, and then as you feel better, you get more focused and able to do stuff because you're in a better mindset, because other people have propped you up. mentally, you know, with, you know, like oh yeah, man, you go do it, you get them, you know, that kind of thing. No one remembers if you are embarrassing about a certain thing. What people remember is if you are consistently embarrassing and you're doing things that are just maybe selfish or maybe just unaware of the, you know, harm that you're causing to others, whether that be like extreme harm. I'm not talking extreme harm, but like, you know, you put someone out of their way a little bit. You ever have a conversation and someone says something and someone else kind of goes like that, in like a very, like they were slightly offended by what that person said sort of way, in terms of, oh, well, fuck you then, kind of thing. That stuff gets forgotten to time after a while, and eventually you'll make up and you know, you'll get back on with your lives, and it will get forgotten to the sands of time, and it's fine to embarrass yourself in front of others, because we all do it. We all say dumb shit. We all do dumb shit, especially when we're young. We all do the stupidest fucking garbage. I've made some videos that were absolutely god awful that I'm embarrassed by, that I don't want to put out to the world anymore. So I've padlocked them. I've put them so that you can't see them anymore. I've unlisted them. But it's the kind of thing where, yeah, you see it and then you make a judgment call on that person and you decide, do you want to hang out with them or not? And if you don't want to hang out with them, then they probably weren't going to be a good fit in the long run anyway. It's better for something to fizzle out early on than to light that stick of dynamite and watch it explode in your face, you know? So don't worry about embarrassing yourself in public or for your art or for whatever purposes that you might need, or even just so you can be yourself. Because if the real you is embarrassing, then that's up for other people to get on board with. And if they can't get on board with it, then they can sod off, you know? That's fine. You know, some people aren't a good match for one another. Some people are only going to have that quick divergent path. Some people will stick together forever because they've got that very similar mentality and they've got a lot in common, and they've got, you know, a foundational, like a friendship with a foundation of solid connections with similarities and things that they can bond over and that kind of thing. And they will grow and develop with one another. And maybe as time goes on, they will grow in different ways. Like, you know, I've got friends from high school and from college and from, you know, these kind of things from my past, that we became different people and we split off and we started doing our own things and we saw each other less and less and less. And that's the nature of life. Those people get replaced with other people, but it's not that you don't like those old people anymore. You still like them. You're in a new place with life, and so your paths have diverged. But there's no reason that they can't merge again in the future. There's no reason that you can't, you know, call up your old friends and sort of try and get a hangout going. And that's sort of the way it is, because if people are gonna get rid of you because of who you are, then fuck them. That's my message. That's gonna be all for today. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Mozz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about perfectionism and how it can be quite a paralysing thing to try and constantly chase this perfect vision, this perfect goal, and getting things exactly the way that you kind of see them in your head. Now, I've done a few videos now about the idea of planning and my opinions on planning. This isn't so much about planning itself, this is more about embracing the moment and the kind of things that end up happening in the now, and embracing the right now as opposed to worrying about the past or worrying about the future. So as we go through life, we all have expectations of things that we want to try and achieve. Some of us will be trying to do, you know, certain things. Maybe we want to get a job in finance, maybe we want to write a novel, maybe we want to, you know, start painting, maybe, you know, we want to go traveling, and all these kind of various things. And they're things that, you know, you'll be lying in bed, be like, see, imperfections. You know, I can't wait to go on that thing. You know, I can't wait to do that thing. And you know, once that thing ends up coming, you ever been so excited for something and then it ends up happening and you end up a little bit disappointed by it, and you kind of go home afterwards and you sit down, you're like, you know, I did enjoy that. Yeah, it was all right, that. And you know, as time goes on, that immediate feeling of not particularly enjoying it will sort of dissipate, and you'll remember it as a happy memory, you know. And as time goes on, it will start to ingrain itself in your head as like a really fun thing you did. Like if you were planning to go traveling and then you went traveling, and then, you know, you went interrailing through Europe, or you drove across the United States, or whatever, you know, or you explored East Asia, you know, stuff like that, and then you got back, and you know, once you get back, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember when I was in like Phuket and I had this really nice like weird broth soup sort of thing, and it was in this really nice sort of wooden kind of restaurant, and the service was so great. But you know, you don't remember the little things in the moment, like you know, getting bitten by ticks, or you know, how overwhelmingly like sweaty you were the entire time because it's so hot. And you know, you don't really remember the endless waiting at the airport. You don't remember, you know, staying up until 4 a.m. Just sitting on the floor in the corner with your 2 suitcases. Oh God, trying to stay awake because you know your flight is in an hour and a half, and if you fall asleep, there's a small chance that you might actually miss your flight and sleep straight through it. So you're trying to keep yourself awake. Maybe you go to the WH Smith that's just around the corner, and you get like Red Bull, and you don't normally drink Red Bull, but you go for it this time, and it's like, these aren't positive experiences, but they are necessary in order to create the ultimate positive experience, which is creating the memory, not even necessarily doing the thing that is the memory, and engaging with the memory in the present, but you know, engaging in the memory as like a, you know, reminiscing about it, kind of going, oh yeah, you remember when we went down there and we had a really nice time, and you know, oh, it was so brilliant, oh, it was wonderful, we went here and then we went here and we did this, and oh my God, and I've got all these really lovely photos, and you see the photos, and you know, there's these wonderful vistas, these beautiful sunsets and sunrises that you would never get wherever you live. But you know, the journey itself wasn't like brilliant all the way through. And I think that's a good metaphor for what I'm talking about, which is whatever it is that you're trying to do, the plan that you've kind of got, it's not necessarily going to work out, and things aren't going to go according to your favor. Things are going to go wrong. A lot of things are going to go wrong. Look at this. I sliced my finger open while I was, it's embarrassing, I was doing the washing up, and I was doing these knives, and I thought it was quite a blunt knife. I don't really use this knife, but I washed it, and it sliced my finger right open. So I've had to sort of put it in this makeshift cast. It's basically just medical tape with a bit of tissue paper on the inside. So, you know, I can't actually do anything with this in terms of, if I'm walking and I'm carrying the camera, I can't get my phone out and do a little bit of typing with just one hand. I physically can't do that anymore. So, you know, that's a little hurdle that you kind of come across, and you'll come across these hurdles like that. That train is really irritating me, but I think it helps with the metaphor of the imperfections coming through, and the fact that whatever it is that you're going through isn't perfect, and it's going to continue to be imperfect. And if you expect anything to become perfect, you will be sorely disappointed time and time and time again, as you keep trying to create this ultimate perfect world that will never come around. And I think if you are trying to create something, or if you're trying to have an experience, you want to go traveling, you want to get a new job, you know, all of these kind of things, you look so forward to them, and you engage with them in your mind, and you know, you kind of sit there and go, oh, it's going to be nice, it's going to be nice. And you know, it still is nice when you get your dream job, and you're doing the work, and you know, you're a couple months in and you're still enjoying it, but you're starting to notice that, you know, that one co-worker is kind of irritating you, and your boss has made a couple sly remarks. But it's nothing concrete enough that you can really say like, this is a bad thing yet. And as time goes on, it's not like I'm saying like suddenly your job will become a hellscape. I mean, it might possibly, but I'm saying what will end up happening is your dream job will stop being your dream job, and it will just be your job like any other job. This is kind of why I don't want to turn like my music into a career, and I wouldn't mind turning the film side into a career. I kind of already have. But I don't want to turn my hobbies into jobs, because that can kind of suck the fun out of them. And, you know, that's kind of actually getting away from my point, which is about perfectionism. And the sort of rambles and so on are part of what, you know, imperfection is all about. Because when you sit and listen to someone that has something to say, you know, and they haven't quite figured out how they're actually going to word it. I haven't figured out how I'm going to word my overall point. But I do kind of know the general steps that I need to take to get there. But I only see, it's like you're doing the stepping stones in Takeshi's Castle, but it's very foggy out, so you can only see one step ahead of you at a time. So you're kind of like, and then, oh God, oh, yeah, like that. And oh, that is really irritating, that. But it helps the metaphor so much, because you are going to get things like this. If you're out filming somewhere, there's going to be something that you're going to come across that is totally not what you planned. There's going to be something out there that is just totally against your original vision, and you're going to have to adapt to it. And if you're making a song, you're going to realize that solo that you had in your head doesn't actually work, even once you've managed to figure it all out. You're painting, you might realize that you envisioned it in oils, but it turns out that maybe it needs to be done in like something else. If you go traveling, you might look at Google Street View of Budapest and think, oh, that's such a lovely place to go, I want to go there. And then you go there and you think, oh, well, this isn't really as good as the other place that I went. I saw it on Google Maps, but now I'm here, I kind of look around and I'm like, okay. And it's all right, don't get me wrong, but it's not exactly what I wanted. So I think going through life trying to get what you want is the wrong way of going about it. You should go through life constantly adjusting what you want to your circumstances, and make what you want what you already have. And I think to sort of close this off, I think if you are someone that is kind of worrying about the future and is worrying about your place in the world and is worrying about where you're going to go and what you're going to do and how to make the most fulfilling life possible, you're doing it kind of wrong. It's not about the future. Just as much as you can live in the past, you ever met someone who like never got over their ex, or you meet someone that is like, all their stories are from like 10, 15 years ago and they're clearly past their prime and they're living in the past, You can just as easily live in the future, and you can constantly, live in these plans that never come to fruition. You can constantly live in these dreamscapes of what you want to do once you're in a position where you have the capacity to actually do it, once you have the money, once you have the resources, once you have enough experience in the field, once maybe you want to go to like, I don't know, some mad country like Kazakhstan, but you feel like that's a very tough first step. I'm going to go to somewhere like Croatia first to kind of warm me up, So you kind of just do what you can and you adjust what you want to what you are already able to have. My wants are always pretty basic. I'm not someone that likes to get the takeaway pizza or anything like that, which costs like £17.99 for like a Domino's or whatever. It's like, that's ridiculous. I can go to Lidl and I can get a similar kind of pizza for £2.25, and I prefer that pizza, I'm going to be honest. It's not that I'll say no to a nice Domino's or Papa John's or whatever. It's nice to try those things, especially like if you're out with friends and stuff and like you're at someone's house and they get a delivery in. It's like nice to chip in like a £5 or a £10 and have a few slices, That's quite nice. But again, it's about what you can do with what you have and the resources that are within your grasp to make what you want come to fruition with what you have available, rather than to dream of what you want, which you can never have. Because if you start doing that, that becomes materialism in the long run, and you end up becoming this materialistic person who is obsessed with getting the latest, greatest thing. And you feel like you can never be happy until you have this thing, and then you get that thing, and then there's another thing that you want to get, and then you get that, and then there's another thing you want to get after that, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And it's a constant, it's an endless, infinite road that never gets complete. You will never find all the possessions in the world that will make you happy. And at the same time, if you just look for within, and you don't engage with the world around you, you'll never find what's happy out there either. Because if you sit and philosophize about everything constantly, you're never going to actually be able to put these philosophies into practice. I quite like looking into like little bits of philosophy. I'm certainly no expert. I don't know jack about any of it really. But it's nice to look up a little bit about Stoicism, hedonism, and utilitarianism, and sort of see because they all have good sides, bad sides, things that are useful, things that aren't useful, things that I can apply to my own life, and some things that aren't so useful or might be quite outdated. And it's kind of nice to put them all together and see what you can kind of come out with it, if you can come up with some good conclusion about where we are and what we're doing. But yeah, I think ultimately, don't worry so much about it. Don't worry about the future, and don't worry about the past either. Live in the now. And I know that is such a difficult thing, and it's such a vague thing that you're told time and time and time again. You'll see these inspirational things where they go, ooh, you have to live in the present. Ooh, you just need to be happy. Oh, if you're just happy, everything will sort out. Oh, you're depressed. Oh, it doesn't matter. Just, smile like that. I feel like that came from a place of experience. Watching some of these videos that they kind of, they just assume that you can just block off all your problems and all your imperfections and create this perfect world for yourself, when you can't. All you can do is embrace the imperfections and embrace the fact that everything is not going to go completely according to plan. Some things will go catastrophically wrong, and that will hurt. I'm not saying that, I don't know, the worst thing that could happen to you, if you get kicked out of your house and you end up living on the street and you've got to find somewhere new to live, you're living out of your car. I'm not saying that's something that you should cheer on, but it's just something that you can sort of, use as a stepping stone to get to the next point. Hey, yo, Oscar, how you doing, man? This is Oscar. He's going to be playing the character of Oliver. And I think on that's a good example of imperfections, because that's literally just life going on right there. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I hate that fucking saying. All right, take care, man. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.